In agriculture, estrus synchronization is used, particularly in the dairy and beef industries, to facilitate breeding by artificial insemination. The term estrus refers to the point of female sexual excitement in mammals, which causes ovulation. At ovulation, females are most receptive to mating. This period is commonly referred to as heat. Estrus synchronization is the process of targeting female mammals to come to heat within a short time frame, 36 to 96 hours. This is achieved through the use of one or more hormones. GnRH and prostaglandin F2 are two hormones used in the sync protocols during estrus synchronization. The synchronization of the estrus cycle is often used in the dairy and beef industries and elsewhere in order to decrease the costs for artificial insemination or feeding a bull by reducing the period in which it takes for all cows to be in heat and fall pregnant. Research has been conducted in two different ways farmers can perform estrus synchronization, such as progesterone injections or a progesterone-releasing intravaginal device. The pride is a sponge that is inserted into the vagina of a cow to stop the natural estrus cycle, for it acts as a corpus luteum, because progesterone is a hormone that signals the body to stop the cycle, because fertilization has occurred. When the sponge is removed, the cycle restarts. This apparatus is useful in manipulating the cycle so that multiple cows can be ovulated around the same time. Estrus synchronization has major advantages in making artificial insemination more practical. Increasing the productivity of embryo transfer and artificial insemination is economically profitable as the costs associated with veterinarian and semen services are reduced. The reduction of costs occur because vets are required for less time to do the inseminating, because the period of ovulation of the herd is decreased to 2-5 days. There are many different injection methods that have been put into practice in order to manipulate the estrus cycle. These involve injections into each cow with a measured amount of progesterone or progestin, and waiting 5-7 days, or until heat signals occur, before moving on to different impregnating methods such as joining the cows or heifers with a bull. Milk is a product of great demand all year round. As a result of this demand, farmers have been given an incentive to produce milk during winter months. In order to achieve this public demand for milk, dairy farmers needed to change their breeding routines. Estrus synchronization enabled this change in the herd's breeding routine to allow dairy farmers to produce milk for human consumption year-round. Case studies for the productivity of these incentives on dairy farms have shown to have positive results. Estrus synchronization has proven to have many advantages in the dairy and beef industries. The application of estrus synchronization enables the farmer to reduce costs involved in the hire of IE technicians and semen import. Concentrated calving and uniform weaning saves time and is cheaper than having individual cows in heat throughout the year. However, there are also disadvantages with estrus synchronization. It requires a high level of management and skills to be able to manage numerous calving operations at a synchronized time. Furthermore, maintaining nutrition and herd health are major factors when it comes to the achieving optimum reproductive performance through estrus synchronization.
Application of estrus synchronization in livestock animals.
This is the cedar here in my right hand. These wings are actually going to fold up. Whenever I insert that, they flop back out and hold that cedar in there. This is a cedar applicator device. So to load this up, I'm just going to slide this down in here like this. I always try to make sure the tail's down. We'll talk about that in just a second and why. So just fold those wings up, put it in there like that. Always wear gloves whenever I'm doing this because these are reproductive drugs, so I try to keep those off of me. So we do that. So I'm gonna come over here. I've got a jug of lube here. I'm gonna dip that down in there. We're gonna lube it. So I'm gonna go over here to my heifer. I'm gonna get her tail, pull it over. I'm just gonna slide it up in here, insert it up into the vagina, straight in like that. Kind of got to angle it up and up over the ridge. All right, I pop that lever and it's in there. My tail's turned down. She's ready to go. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here and this tail's sticking out here. So to remove the cedar, I just pull the cedar. All right, so I've got that out. I've got my repeater syringe set the correct dose. So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna give this shot intermuscular. So we come in here, just right in the neck, right in the muscle, 5 cc's. So she's done. And the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to put on a heat patch. So our heat patches that look, they're just like this. They're going to put these on, going to glue them on. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over here. I'm going to put a little glue right here on this heifer's tail head. I'm going to smooth this out just a little bit so we got a good area to stick this heat patch down, just like that. So then I'm going to put just a little bit on my heat patch, just a little stripe there like that. The arrow goes towards the front of the cow, so I just take that, push that down on there, make sure that it's stuck good in the glue. All right, and she's ready to turn out. About 68 to 72 hours, these heifers should start coming into heat. So we will start watching them about Wednesday afternoon, and we will watch them. And when they come into heat, whenever that's showing that they're in heat, we'll bring them back in. We'll AI them. So watch for the video in about 3 or 4 days. And we'll show you what it's like. We're doing our final video on breeding these heifers. We're actually going to AI them this afternoon. So right now, I've got one caught up in the chute. I just took the heat patch off of her. If I can find it here, I'll show you. Well, it should be all red, so that's what they look like when they're busted and they're ready to breed. So we're breeding on a heat detection, but there's different protocols that you can follow. There's time breedings, there's a lot of different stuff. So with any questions, make sure and call your local ag agent, get that figured out. So what I'm going to do in this is a shot of GnRH. So I'm actually going to give this to her on this protocol. So I'm going to go over here. This is intramuscular injection, 2 cc's. So I'm just going to reach in there, give her that. All right, we've got her there. So I've got that done. The next thing I'm going to do is I've got my AI gun here. We're going to get this loaded up. I've got my semen over here in this thawing mechanism. That's at about 95 or 96 degrees. So my semen is in there thawing. I'm going to take this gun. I'm going to get this semen, straw of semen. So I'm going to pull that out. That's what that looks like. So I'm going to shake that off, make sure it's dry. Dry this out. The quicker that you can keep this more consistent on the temperature, the better. So I'm going to load that up like this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clip the end of it off, just like that. I'm going to take my AI gun sheath. We're going to slide that right up on there. Slide this down, just like that, where it locks. All right. So now my gun's loaded and ready. So now I'm just going to keep this warm, keep that next to my body. So I'm going to lube up, put some lube on my glove here. I've got my sleeve on. We're going to palpate. I'm going to reach up in there. I'm going to find her cervix. I'm going to pass this rod through her cervix. And then I'll show you how to do that right here in just a minute. All right. So now I'm going to go in the chute and I'm going to palpate this cow. I'm going to find her cervix. I'm going to pass the AI rod through her cervix. And then we'll deposit the semen just outside the cervix. All right. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to move her tail off to the side. I'm going to palpate her. I'm going to reach up in here and I'm going to sweep and I'm going to find the cervix. All right, I've located the cervix and I've got it in my hand. All right, so the way that I usually hold the cervix is I hold it just like this with these 3 fingers and my thumb, and then I can use this finger to guide my rod. All right, so I'm going to pull my rod out and I'm going to kind of go up at an angle. That way we make sure and don't get down in the bladder. I'm going to pass this rod up in there. We'll work this around, get it up in there. Sometimes you have to stretch a reproductive tract out a little bit to get everything lined up. So I'm going to use this, go up in here. All right, so now I'm at the end of the cervix. And I'm going to work this rod around. And whenever you get to the end of the cervix, you can feel it. It's kind of got a rough texture to it as compared to everything else in there. All right, so now you've got to line it up and pass it through the cervix. So I've got her at the end of her cervix. And now I'm using my pinky finger to guide my rod to the center of the cervix because that's where the opening is at for it, okay? So now we're going to pass it through. All right, so now I've found it. And now there's about 2 or 3 folds in that cervix. So whenever I pass up through there, I can kind of feel that gun and it'll pop about 2 or 3 times. All right, so now I'm just on the other side of the cervix. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to deposit the semen slowly right there, just like that. Move my rod, remove my hand, and she should be bred to a Hereford bull, easy calving, and hopefully in about 9 months we'll have a calf. Any questions on any of the stuff that we've done, any of the protocols, setting these heifers up, cows, or whatever, it all works the same. Just let us know. Thanks for tuning in.